All right, so we begin chapter 2, and now we're going to be looking at how is it that we draw Lewis structures. So the way you want to start is you want to go from left and right. That's kind of the easiest way to start off. So what you want to see here is that you start with a C. We have a carbon, right? You want to look at your carbons. So if I were to start, I would bake my carbon. And now I know it's attached to two hydrogens. And because it's attached to two hydrogens, I'm going to put them like this. Okay. Now we covered this, the first part, this is done. Now let's go ahead and look at the other part that's falling. We have a carbon, so I'm just going to make another carbon. And then we have an H and an O. So I want to think in my head that you could do it either way. You can have it so the O's at the bottom, but I prefer attaching, so I'm going to make an attachment to my O at the top, an attachment to my H at the bottom. And now for hydrogen, it doesn't want to have any more bonds, so that's why I put it at the bottom, and then anything that I'm going to build off, I'm going to build at the top. So now I did this chunk. What do we have? We have another carbon. So we're going to have another carbon, and it is attached to two CHs. And then I think, okay, so I can put the H here, or I can put the H here. If I start to do that, okay, if I do that, I know the structure is going to start getting a little messy. The structure is going to start getting a little messy because whatever I have to, I know that I'm not done, so I'm going to attach more things, and I'm going to attach more things at the bottom, which I could do, but I prefer to keep it uniform and keep attaching things linear. So what I mean by that, my other option is to put these two hydrogens, because I'm right here, right? I need to put these two. So I'm just going to put them one on top, one on bottom, get that out of the way, and I can just continue to build. All right, so what do I have? I have another carbon that's attached to hydrogen, okay? But have a bit of a issue here because I see that there are two CH3s, and CH3s are kind of like the ends of a structure. So it's kind of like a carbon with three H's. Okay? So I'm going to have two of those. So I know I'm going to have two of those. So then I start to think, I'm going to have two of those, and I already did my carbon. Where do I want to put the two CHs that I already explained how they look? Well, the easiest way is to keep this kind of thing going. You see how we have this uniform where I just put the hydrogens top and bottom to make it kind of clean. But you can kind of do the same, and you can put the carbon at the top, the carbon at the bottom, and then you can make it look clean. Then we have our hydrogens. Okay, make room here. And now remember that we needed this hydrogen. I can just put it at the side. And there we have it. That would be the structure, the Lewis structure for this molecular formula. Make it a little bigger. Okay. So let's work on the next one. So for the next one, we're starting with a CH3, and we have two of them. Okay, so remember what we talked about, that we know that those are going to be like little branches off a tree. So why don't we just put those at the end? So let's do that. We have two of those, right? And then we have a CH2. All right, no problem. We're gonna put the C. That's gonna be our CH2, and then our CH3 is gonna go down here to kind of have things looking kind of clean. All right. So now that we have that, we have CH3, CH3, but I just realized that it's two CH3s. So we did do our two CH3s, but we have two CH2s. So in order for me to do that, and it's okay if in the beginning, all I have to do is stretch these. So now I have to make room for my other CH2. So then I have my carbon. All right. So they're just CH2, so I'm just going to make CH2, CH2. And then we have a CH. So let me count. This is 4. So I need to make room for one more. So this is a little bit of a messy structure. And this can be a little trick one in case you see it. So this is good that we're getting this one. So then I would need to make room for one more C in here. One more C. So let me take this and put it down here, because I have to make room. So we did all of this, right? But I have to make room for this one, my CH, because what else am I going to connect it to? So then I have a C and my H. Perfect. Now I'm done with this, and I'm done with this part. Now I have CH2, CH2. So remember what we talked about, when you want to have your CH2s, you just make a carbon and then one H at the top, one H at the bottom, so you can keep it nice and clean in your head. Another carbon, one H at the top, one H at the bottom. Then I don't worry about my OH, it's very simple. You want to have a nice linear structure, an O and an H. And we're done. So this one was a little tricky. All right, so let's do this one. And you can go ahead and just do this one on your own and then come back. Okay, so let's get started with this one. So we have CH3, CH2, and we have 3 of them. So we can do our branching. We can do that. So let's do CH3, 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 but there's going to be 3 of them. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. 1, CH2, CH2, and then we have, okay, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to first do my branches. CH3, CH2, then make CH2, CH2, and then CH3. And then I'm going to see what I have. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so now I have 2 CH3s and 2 CH2s, but I need 3 of them. So what I could do is I can do the same logic as my other one that we just did. So I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to cut the center. And I'm going to squeeze another carbon in here because I know that I can put another carbon here, okay? If I want to, I can put another carbon there. And I can make it be my CO COH. And then that leaves me with one more CH2. So why don't I put it this way? Put it this way. Let me clean it. So that leaves me with one OH. Okay? And that leaves me with one CH2. Again, make this clean. And one CH3 left. See, for this is how I would prefer it to do it. It could be another way of doing it, but for me in my head, it just makes it easier for me to just kind of work with what I have and then kind of build it up. So then we have that one done. So let's go ahead and do the last problem. So we have CH3, we have two of those. And then we have CH3. And then we have CC, CH3OCH. Okay. So because we have two CH3s, let's start with that. So let's do our little branches. CH3, CH3, okay. And then CH3. We covered this. Now we need to add two carbons. So in this case, same logic, I'm just gonna cut it, bring it back down. I know that I can connect my carbon to it, right? And connect that carbon. Then I get that out of the way. Now I just need one CH3. So I can choose to either put it at the top or bottom, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put it at the top, one CH3. My little branch. Okay, I've done this part, and I've done this part. So now this carbon is left. And all I need is an O and a CH3. So then I can go O, CH3. Okay. But we do see a little bit of an issue here. You see how this carbon down here, the carbon in the center rather, they have a single bond. That would be a violation of the octet rule. So in order to fix that, all that we would need to do is just add another bond. And then in relation to the octet rule, we might want to fill in all of our lone pairs. Okay. So there you have it. That would be the structure. And this is pretty much how you do Lewis structures. Again, think about your branching. Think about where you want to put the carbons. Work linear if you want. But try not to do too much at once. Do one thing at a time. And then work your way through how you want to place those carbons.